This is the Atomos Ninja V. Here's why this one thing, has changed how I make videos forever. Welcome to the first of many No BS reviews. Now I can hear you thinking already, Paul, this thing's been out for 5 years. And to that I say, yeah, I know. And it's just amazing now in 2023 as it was when it came out in 2018. First off, you got a 5-inch screen, which is considerably larger and much better than the built-in screens on your cameras. Now I get it. I was one of the ones that thought, nah, I don't need an external monitor. I already have a screen built into my camera and it works just fine, which if you're getting started and you're on like a very extreme budget, then yes, that is true. However, trust me when I tell you, this thing is a game changer. It's got a peak brightness of 1000 nits, so you can see this thing in broad daylight. Daylight? Huh, that's new. You can see this thing in broad daylight and have absolutely no problems viewing the screen from pretty much any angle. Too long didn't listen is just way easier to see what you're doing. It also allows focus peaking. Now I know a lot of modern mirrorless cameras have focus peaking built in, but quite often when you're trying to pull focus and you're using focus peaking on that tiny little LCD, it's just not ideal. It's hard to see, it's hard to judge critical focus. And if you're someone like me, who in doing professional video production is shooting manual focus a lot, you have to be able to make sure that your manual focus is dialed in every single time to avoid having to do copious amounts of retakes. False colors is a relatively new tool to me. I've had this for a while, but I just started using false colors in the last couple of months, and boy, let me tell you, that has changed the game for me when it comes to judging proper exposure. False colors is a spectrum of colors that you can enable on this monitor that are color-coded to tell you where in your image different parts are exposed, whether they're underexposed, what your skin tones are, whether things are properly exposed, where your highlights are at, how far gone and blown out your highlights may be, or how crushed your shadows are, or how well balanced everything can be. At first it looked crazy. I thought I was on an acid trip the first time I turned this on, and then immediately wondered if I'd broken something. But no, actually, and it can really be incredibly helpful for judging proper exposure. Next up, aspect ratios. Now this is something that I didn't really think I was going to use a whole lot, and then ended up using almost every time I used this monitor. The Atomos Ninja V allows you to preview your image in any aspect ratio you wish. You've got 16:9, 2.4:1, 2.35:1, which is CinemaScope. You can even do 9:16 vertical if you're planning on recording content for TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, etc. Short form social media content is big nowadays. If you ask me, it's unfortunate, but that's a whole nother video. Anyway, you can also do anamorphic D-squeeze at a whole different number of measurements. Let's talk about Luts. Everybody knows Luts when it comes to color grading. Oh, cool, you can just download my LUT pack and basically never have to color grade again. That's not how that works, but Luts are incredibly helpful. And with the Atomos Ninja, you are able to load Luts into this thing and preview them over your footage. So you can have an idea of what you want your final image to look like and have a LUT that gets you there. Or if you're shooting in log, like I'm shooting on the Canon R6 Mark II right now, I'm in Canon log as you're watching this. I just have C-Log View Assist enabled because I'm not using this, and honestly the fact that I have to rely on this screen because I need to hold this kind of hurts my soul a little bit, but that's besides the point. But not only can you preview them, you can also burn LUTs into your image, meaning recording to the Atomos with a LUT enabled that will burn the LUT into your footage if you so desire. You don't have to do this, but you can, and it's very helpful. I've done this many times, and it's allowed me to significantly reduce the time spent in post color grading. So much time. Formats. Let's talk about recording formats. You can record externally to the Atomos via full-size HDMI, and you're recording to an external SSD right here. This one is one of the Atom X Angel Bird drives, and I love it. It's fast, but they are rather expensive. I know the 1 terabyte Angelbird drive, which is what I have in this thing, is about $400, and honestly, that's a little crazy. So there are definitely cheaper options out there. You record to an external SSD here. This is amazing because you don't have to deal with card swaps. You have way more space, and you can just take this drive out of your Atomos, plug it straight into your computer, and edit straight off of this drive without having to wait for clunky, incredibly slow footage transfers. Saves tons of time in post-production. But also, it allows you to record in a number of different formats, including ProRes. ProRes is incredible, especially if you're editing on a Mac, because it significantly improves the quality of your footage by having it less compressed. But because your footage is less compressed, it also allows for a much faster editing workflow because your editing software doesn't have to decompress your footage in order to play it back and allow you to edit it. Saves me many hours in editing time. The only drawback is ProRes files are massive.
Huge, that is huge.
So if you have lots and lots of storage and you have that in your budget, go for it. If you don't have a ton of storage, you can also shoot 10-bit H.265 onto these using the Atomos, and that does help a lot too. It also allows you to do ProRes RAW on certain cameras. I'm shooting on the R6 Mark II right now, and that allows me to do 6K RAW output, which I can record to this as ProRes RAW. Another pro with recording externally to something like the Ninja V is it allows you to remove all of the heavy processing work from the camera body itself. And instead, all the camera is doing is sending out an HDMI video signal to the Atomos, and the Atomos itself is doing the heavy lifting in terms of image processing. This is very useful if you have a camera that has issues with heat generation, because instead of the camera having to do all the heavy lifting and the processing work, which generates more heat, you're instead offloading that workload to this thing and reducing the amount of heat that your camera can generate. But Paul, I can hear you say, what about cons? Surely this thing isn't perfect. And you're right, it's not perfect. But honestly, I have very little to complain about. The one actual con, I feel, is battery life. It takes these Sony NPF batteries, and I get it, you're probably thinking, oh, these things are massive, they'll last forever. Well, unfortunately not. When you have this thing cranking at full bore, this thing will burn through batteries faster than I burn through the ice cream in our freezer. What? It's good. Yeah, it can get kind of gnarly. I have 4 of these, and that's enough to get through like a full wedding day, for example. However, it's close. It's really close. I should probably pick up 1 or 2 more so that I have maybe 5 or 6 of these. But if you have enough of them, or you have, say, maybe 3 or 4, but you have a fast charger and you can charge while you're shooting using other batteries, then the battery life isn't really a massive issue. Another kind of con, I say it's a kind of con because it doesn't affect the performance of the Atomos in any way. It doesn't make any part of it unusable at any point in time, but when this thing is running full bore and you're recording really high quality footage to it, especially over long periods of time, it can get hot.
All right, friends, let's pass around the hot potato.
Now, there's a fan and cooling vents inside this thing, so you're never gonna deal with overheating. Like, it's not gonna stop recording or shut down or anything like that. But the body of this thing is made of, if I remember correctly, aluminum, and when it's putting off a lot of heat, it's well ventilated, which is good, but this thing can still get hot. So, fair warning, I'm not gonna say you have to wear gloves while like handling this thing, but it can get hot, especially if you're recording in the summertime. It's already hot anyway, and then you're recording to this thing for long periods of time, it can get a little toasty. So just be careful when you pick it up, and don't say I didn't warn you. So that's my quick review of the Atomos Ninja V. Again, I know it came out 5 years ago, but honestly, this thing is still incredible, and it's become such a vital part of my video workflow that even recording this video without it has been kind of painful. So if you're a filmmaker, or somebody you know is a filmmaker, and you're looking for a good Christmas gift to get them this year, I would highly recommend picking up one of these. I'll leave links down below in the description to several different kits on Amazon. You can pick up this thing as just the monitor itself, or you can pick it up with batteries or with hard drives. There's a number of different options, and honestly, any of them are great. Anyway, that's it. Really short, simple, to the point review. I'm gonna make these a thing. If you're interested in seeing more things like this, or want to get an inside look at my process and how I make videos and how I shoot photos and my process as a visual creative, then by all means, leave a like on this video and subscribe. Thanks a bunch. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I know the tree's up already. Don't judge me.